My name is Eugenia, better known as Jeannie. I am the granddaughter of Eugenia Duke, the Mayonnaise lady. Well, my grandmother, I guess from day one, was an excellent cook and loved to cook, loved to feed people. During the First World War, she started making sandwiches for the soldiers at Fort Severe.
The soldiers just loved her sandwiches. She was just known
of the sauce that was
because
on it.
it had this special sauce on it.
The war ended, and one of her friends said, Eugenia, quit fooling with those sandwiches, just make your mayonnaise. So that's what she did. She started making her mayonnaise, and my mother said, that little thing, she got herself a car and learned how to drive when women didn't even know how to drive. And she would drive all over the South selling her mayonnaise. It was 1917 when she sold it. By then, she had moved to California because my mother and father, and I don't know how long after she got there before she started Dutch's Sandwich Company. I can still see the little yellow trucks that drove all around Oakland, California, delivering her sandwiches. When the Second World War started, somehow or other, that little thing, she got the contract for feeding all those shipyard workers. Those trucks got bigger and bigger and bigger, and they were driving all over, delivering the most wonderful food you ever saw. And she was just the most wonderful grandmother. She loved to feed anybody that we brought to her house. At Halloween, other kids go trick-or-treating. Well, she decided she'd have food for the kids that came trick-or-treating. I don't know, the word got around, kids we'd never seen before showed up at the front door. She would have squabs for an hors d'oeuvre, 15 squabs on it. And then the roast beef came on, so that's the way it was at her house.
She was an entrepreneur and she was very successful, and it was kind of uncommon.
A female 100 years ago starting her own company and becoming such a success.
Before she could even vote.
Before she even had all of her rights.
That's really what I thought was so cool, was that she couldn't even vote, and she made 10,000 sandwiches in one day.
But the funny thing is, not one of us had ever heard of Duke's Mayonnaise. They didn't sell it in California. And when Jack and I moved here, I walked into Harris Teeter, and there's this whole wall of Duke's Mayonnaise. I said, where did that come from anyway? I couldn't believe it.
Growing up in California, we always heard the story that our great-great-grandmother had invented mayonnaise. And
Mayonnaise.
So, yeah, it wasn't Duke's mayonnaise. It wasn't like a certain sandwich spread. It was mayonnaise in general. She was the inventor. We didn't really realize how significant Duke's mayonnaise was until we came out here to the South. In California, no one had ever really heard of it. You can't really find it in the grocery stores. It's kind of rare. And then you come here and it was like everywhere.
That sounds ridiculous, I know, but she was so humble about it. That was a section of her life that was over. She came to California to be with her daughter and her grandchildren, and she got settled in there, and then she opened another business, cooking something.
I don't know that she would necessarily have ever been able to dream that 100 years later it would still be a legacy. It would be so huge. The craziest fan I've ever met is my sister, Caitlin. She actually went and had her body altered out of her love for Duke's Mayonnaise. She actually has a tattoo of a Duke's Mayonnaise jar right here underneath her arm.
I did hear that story about someone that had requested after they pass away, when they're cremated, to have their ashes placed in a Duke's Mayonnaise jar. That's a little...
That's extreme.
Different.
With the 100th anniversary, there's just like this locomotive force of remembering what a huge role she played in women's contributions to an area in a very unlikely time.
She was a woman of great drive, obviously, and a very loving person. The whole picture was just wonderful.
I think that there is something to say about this having been a family recipe. You know, she started out just on her own, and now 100 years later, it's the exact recipe that she was creating in her own kitchen.